When did you graduate from Hamilton College?
1979.
And what was your major at Hamilton?
History.
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm taking
Why?
some history.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
I had a great. What kind of
Go ahead.
history?
For me, I've done history of women in modern Asia, and I've
Mm-hmm.
also done American Black history in America. So they were pretty tough classes, but I like them because I really learned how to write. So
Yeah.
it can be tough. It's known as being very tough at Hamilton College.
Oh, believe me, I know.
Yeah. So what campus organizations were you a part of?
Oh, wow.
Or extracurricular activities, either one, organizations or extracurricular activities.
Yeah. Mostly, I worked at the newspaper, the Spectator, and and then my senior year, I was the editor of the yearbook.
Okay. Were you out while a student at Hamilton College?
No.
Okay. Are you out now?
Yeah, pretty much. That's how can I say? That's got several answers to it.
Complicated.
I'm still, there are most people I'm out to, but most I especially having just moved upstate New York, I just don't consider it a wise thing to do. I lived in New York. It was just the opposite, but it's, actually, it was the issue at work. It's always difficult. I've always found it difficult.
Right.
So there are many. I could give you a whole bunch of answers to that, but at Hamilton, I was not even out to myself. I mean, I was really struggling.
Would you say you feel it's more, I mean, I think you answered it, but do you feel that it's more conservative where you are now and that it's sort of unsafe?
Than
New York? New York City.
Yeah, it's more conservative and less safe.
So I guess this would be a good time to kind of ask about while you were a student at Hamilton College, what was the climate like for LGBTQIA students?
Wow. I've thought a little bit about this. It was, for me, it was basically non-existent. There were a few people who were out, and when they came out, it was almost scandalous, or that if I don't know if that's the right word, but there were very few people who would come out. There were the gay people. I've kind of caught up with some of them in the years past, but it was. I mean, there was one guy. He was a year ahead of me, Richard Burns. He went on to be the head of the Gay Center in New York, but he was about the only open gay person I knew, and he ran one of the gay organizations then, but it was pretty dismal. I mean, it just, 1979, I think in general, it wasn't a great time, and
not a great atmosphere.
No, and on Hamilton, I wouldn't do it. I hid like crazy from everybody I knew, and I heard the slurs, gay slurs, not so much directed at me, but
Mm-hmm.
um, but
Other
I had
people?
I had I had two incredibly homophobic roommates, and I still can't believe I survived it,
Oh,
survived them.
mm, wow. Um, so I guess to follow up on that, did you face any personal hardships connected to your LGBTQIA identity while a student at Hamilton College? Specifically,
Um, well, it's hard to say specifically. It really wasn't until, I mean, in senior year, I kind of allowed myself to try to meet people who I thought might be gay, but otherwise it was tough, really tough. I mean, I buried myself in schoolwork and um, didn't, you just didn't, I don't know, it's not, I would imagine it's nothing like it is today, but I mean, I'm not on campus, but I knew a lot of gay people there, but they weren't out. I mean, they
mhm,
were clearly gay, but they just couldn't deal with it. And we didn't talk to each other. Um, so it was pretty, it was tough atmosphere.
and was that, not being able to be open about it, was that the most difficult part, or was there other parts that were more difficult?
Um, well, what can I say? It was, I mean, one thing everybody was talking about sex, and everybody was either doing it or, all the straight people were on my, and I guess I kind of resented that,
Mhm.
that I, for example, my friend,
Yeah, I can understand that. Was there, well, I guess I should rephrase, what was the best part of being LGBTQIA at Hamilton College? Is there anything you can remember that was good about it?
really consider that I was out. I mean, that's a multi-level question too. I mean, I knew on some level that I was gay, but it just, you know, the times were such that you you do everything to cover up or to deny it, and
Mhm.
uh, made made things tough. I mean, and I don't know. I mean, in the other way, it was uh, it being up there on the campus in the snow. Maybe that was safer, or sort of like, well, let me just focus on school um, and um, but I there really wasn't a positive thing about it because I just wasn't. I spent most of my time just hiding, hiding from myself and trying to pass, which unfortunately I did.
Uh, did you engage in any campus activism for the LGBTQIA community while a student at
No,
Hamilton College?
no,
Were there,
no. It's
I
just
mean, really, were there any organizations to join?
no, no, not that I knew of. And I mean, there was one organization. I think I mentioned this guy Richard Burns ran it. I don't remember. I just remember hearing about it. I never went to a meeting, and I really wasn't much, not much at all.
Hmm. And were there any activities off campus for activism, or again?
No, no. I mean, this is Clinton and Utica. I mean, I remember one incident. Anita Bryant was active at that time, and there was a protest in Utica, and but it got some attention. I remember writing about it, putting something in the yearbook about it, sort of. I don't know why, because I could. But there really wasn't any. The words weren't even there. The concept. And if you were LGBT, you were on the margins for sure.
And I imagine, I mean, today, I know if there are activities going on off campus, a lot of times there are organizations that mobilize for that and actually do offer transportation to them. So I imagine, you know, I'm thinking probably back then that just didn't happen either. Am I correct in that, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention there's another section of general questions. So we're at some of the general questions. The first one is, what impact did coming out or being LGBTQIA have in your work life?
In my what life?
Yeah.
No, I didn't hear what you said. In my what life?
In your work life.
Oh.
Your employment.
Yeah, right. Wow. Boy, I could talk an hour on that, but
you can take your time and
yeah.
There's no rush here.
Yeah. I guess it really took me. There's no linear way to approach it, but I didn't really come out to myself until 2 years after Hamilton, and work. I guess it was positive in the sense, at least I knew who I was, but it in another sense, try to be brief here, but I always thought it held me back. Not coming out, but for example, when I was in Hamilton, everybody I knew, I mean, everybody was either pre-med, pre-law. They were going ahead, and I almost consciously said, I can't do this. I can't. I got to deal with this. I got to deal with who I am, and I 4 years at Hamilton was a pressure cooker enough for me to hide. And when I finally was able to deal with it, I said, it's sort of been, kind of how I've approached work. My personal life came first, and that cost me financially. I worked in an industry, book publishing, which is severely underpaid, but yet it was comforting. It was there were a lot of gay people there, and it was interesting, and I made connections. I met the first out gay person I knew in publishing, and I just couldn't have. It was only later that I wound up with a job that took a lot of demanded a lot of time, and I wound up leaving it. I just couldn't. it's tough enough being gay. The stresses are almost 24 hours a day. But to be in a work environment. I worked with a woman who was a lesbian, and she worked. She did the work. She committed herself, and cost her her life. She lived on cigarettes and coffee, and just took easily 10 years off her life. And I said, never, I will never do that. And she was very, very closeted at work. She just, and to the degree I came out at work, particularly in general, I know it was held against me. I know I was sort of discounted, even though my work was pretty good. And there's always the thing, if you're not out, you're considered sort of, if you're not straight or out, you're a mystery, and people don't like it. In general,
yeah.
People don't like a mystery, and that's what I'm finding now, and it's coming. Maybe under Obama it eased up a little bit, but that attitude's coming back, which is a lot of reason why I work for myself now. I just don't want to have to deal with that office politics or.
Yeah. I understand.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it sounds like you're saying that just having the community, though, I mean, that was something that you didn't have at Hamilton, but at least having some community and some connection did help you to, accept your identity as gay.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. It didn't happen until 2 years after I left Hamilton. And I met a guy who was openly gay, and he really helped.
I'd like to kind of ask the same question, but in the sense of how did it affect your family life?
Wow. Okay. Define it and family.
Well, the whole question.
I mean, coming out or being gay.
Let me read the whole question. What impact did coming out or being LGBTQIA have in your family life?
A lot. I was from the middle class Catholic family, and being gay was not good. And we're talking about the 80s, and the Archbishop or the Archbishop of New York would preach sermons that get printed that my parents would bring home, that gay people are evil. And this is the time of AIDS. I mean, this is, I can't tell you how many people I know who died, including some people at Hamilton who were closet cases. I kept in touch with some people from Hamilton, and they'd inform me. But, I came out in the age of AIDS, which is frightening to everybody. And my family situation was horrible. I mean, they just couldn't accept it. I mean, and I could tell you a story that might sum up the whole thing. I mean, when my parents did the best they could do with what little knowledge they had, and I never formally came out to them, never said the words, but they were sort of smart enough to figure out. And how did I know my mother knew I was gay? When she died, she left an article in her papers that she knew were coming to me, that why a Catholic, the article said, why a Catholic parent should love her gay child. And I mean,
Yeah.
that's how dramatic it was. I mean, she could not say it while she was alive, but she wanted me to know in the end. So yeah, it's I'm sure everybody has a story variation on that, but especially coming out during the AIDS epidemic. I mean, it was, geez, you might as well have been a drug addict than be gay, and everybody was scared. Everybody. I mean, one of my roommates senior year was one of the first to die of AIDS, Andy Rice. And we got a lot of wounds, and I can't specifically blame Hamilton for it, but we were like my roommate Andy he couldn't deal with it at Hamilton, and but what he did after he graduated, he went to New York and just had sex everywhere, and he was one of the first to die.
Yeah.
And just one thing, I saw him. I finally had the nerve to go to a gay bar, and one time, and Andy was there. This guy who I suspected was gay, but he couldn't deal with it at Hamilton. But there he was in the same bar, and I waved to him to say hello. I was glad to see him, and he ran away. By the time I made it across the floor, he disappeared. And then the next I heard, he had, shortly thereafter, he had died. So
that's got to be so difficult.
Well, it's sort of like all these things happen, and you try to deal with them, and then eventually you just have to bury incidents like that at the back of your mind, but they come back up. Like a friend of mine committed suicide in 1992. He was gay, and I really had put it out of my mind till a relative of mine, a gay relative, committed suicide 10 years ago, and then the memories of the first suicide came back. So somebody's got to write the book. I'm trying. I wrote a book.
It's trauma.
Well, yeah. I mean, I wrote a book on LGBT stress, and because my background is science, medical writing, and the brain. We have a lot of stress, and it doesn't do any good to bury it.
No. And, you still there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess next would be, the next two are pretty similar as well. The next one is, what impact did coming out or being LGBTQIA have in your social life?
Well, again, as opposed to what? If I was straight or closeted?
I think just how it affected, your social life.
Well, all right, I'll give you the answer. My friend Art, the guy who committed suicide, said, he said, it's a difficult life, whether or not you choose to deal with it. And I chose to deal with it, and it is difficult. but I mean, very rewarding in a way. But you know, God, I would never consider staying closeted, and I really feel bad for those. And I've met them up here, 60, 70, 80 years old, and they just realize they're gay and they come out. Meanwhile, they've got grandkids, and I mean, I would never have stayed in the closet, but it is tough. It
Mm-hmm.
is tough. I mean, I went to my 40th high school reunion for the first reunion I ever went to, and I'm not going back. You know, people did their best. There were people with gay kids, but they just didn't get it. It was just all these straight people just didn't understand. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they would donate money. I have a nonprofit for gay youth. You know, they donated money. They'd give me a pat in the back, and that was it.
That was it.
And
Hmm.
I'm sorry.
And that was it.
And yeah, including
Hmm.
one guy whose gay brother committed suicide, and his nephew committed suicide. He's been generous. He's donated, but I asked him, "Can I? Would you like to be a sponsor for the book that I have, LGBT stress?" And he said, "No, this guy's 60 years old," and he said, "No, my family wouldn't approve of it." What?
Wow.
I mean, you told me the story. You made a donation once, and you said, "In honor of my brother and his
Mm-hmm.
son," and but you can't have it in print. And
Yeah.
what do? You just let it go, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's crazy, crazy. I mean, I don't want to sound down, but you know, it's I don't know, my experience, and I know it's changing and getting better. Although I don't like the It Gets Better project, I really don't.
Yeah.
Because kids are not ready to think 10 years down the road. They just aren't. They're trying to get through the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So,
With all the stress.
so yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I would say, you know, my social life, it's really a non-choice. This is who I am. This is,
Right.
and I can't imagine not coming out. Uh, and it is difficult. Like my friend said, whether you come out, whether you choose to deal with it or not. I mean, I've known more alcoholics than I've ever wanted to know. Um, uh, it's, you know, and for example, I would love to have some kind of relationship with Hamilton, but I don't see it. I mean, I see the webpage for the gay alumni, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, I haven't really. I've posted a few things, very little response. So, I mean, that would be a great thing for Hamilton to sort of. And I know some of the people who, you know, like Jack Black and who are doing this survey too. I mean, I would love to see an event or some, I don't know, some kind of recognition that, you know, hey, we went through this. And Jack's told me, you know, it was tough for him.
Mm-hmm.
He had depression. And so I don't know if I'm rambling off the point here, but.
No, that's fine. You know, you say what you need to say.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
it's all
anyway,
relevant. So,
anyway, well, you know, when you talk of social life, um, I would, you know, I would like the alumni association to do something, or my partner is a graduate of Williams College,
mm,
and they have events that I've never seen Hamilton do. You know, that gets me jealous. I mean, he's a class president, and I'm not saying it's perfect over there, and people need their minds shifted and altered, but at least they meet. At least they. I, I, I don't know. I would like to see a better effort from Hamilton, and I don't know where it would come from, and I certainly don't have the time to do it. But
Well,
I would.
that's one thing that Joyce Barry is trying to do with this, is at least start a conversation.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I mean, but
No.
she's not a full-time professor, or is she visiting professor or something?
No, I think she is full-time.
Oh, okay. I thought I saw it. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm 2 hours away. I would love to come over to some event, but it's certainly not going to be I went to one alumni reunion, and it was not good. You know, I brought my partner, and it this was maybe 15 years ago. It just wasn't. I couldn't get out of there fast enough.
Yeah.
I mean, Hamilton's very conservative. I know that.
It is.
But, yeah, but, geez, you took my money, or not you, but they took my money gladly.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And I think they would benefit, you know, they reaching out to prospective students.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, yeah. I mean, the competition for students for enrollment is pretty tough, and you know, there are more gay people out there.
Mm-hmm.
More and more every day.
On to, like I said, a similar question, but what impact did coming out or being LGBTQIA have in your spiritual life?
It sort of negated it, but I'm not. I mean, I would say it does. This is almost metaphysical, but I mean, when you watch people die in their 20s and 30s, it really it makes you think a lot, and almost too much about, you know, how fast time goes, and the unfairness of things, and but it also can frustrate you because
Yeah.
you know, I haven't, you know, I'm not a particularly outgoing person, but you know, the you know, being gay can be really isolating. And you do it sometimes just to protect yourself, and just and I think it's changing. I see kids. My nephew came out to me, and he's 20 years old, beyond where I was. He's getting married, and so anyway. So yeah, I see positive things, but it's tough.
Next question is, what do you think are some of the biggest challenges facing the LGBTQIA community today?
Depression, addiction, underemployment, discrimination in the workplace.
I guess
health. I mean, health overall. I'm big on that because we don't take care of ourselves. At least my generation.